Support lesson 3, accounting equation. Now if we have a look at the accounting equation here, we're asked to do the 7th, 10th, 19th, 21st and 30th. So let us always start off by doing this so that we know what we're doing. Assets are plus minus, owner's equity is minus plus, right? This is drawings and expenses. This is capital and incomes. And then we have liabilities, which is minus plus. Now remember, this is your debit side, that's your credit side. This is your debit side, that's your credit side. This is your debit side, that's your credit side. Now the first time we need to do something here is on the 7th. So let's go and find the 7th and see what it says. So on the 7th it says we received an invoice, which we renumbered for 4040 from Elephant, for inventory purchased, and the rest was for equipment. So we bought inventory and equipment from our creditor. Okay, so let us start with the amount that we were given. We bought inventory for 1,200 Rand. So that means, okay, first here my source document is the original invoice for all of the transactions, for this whole transaction. Okay, I bought more trading stock. Now trading stock is an asset, and I've bought more. So my trading stock is going to increase. And trading stock will increase on the debit side. It is an asset and I've bought more. So it's plus 1,200 Rand. Okay. I owe the creditor more money for this. Creditor's control is a liability. I owe the creditor more money for this. So I'm going to credit creditor's control. And creditor's control is a liability. So I go to the liabilities and I owe them more. There is no owner's equity. I also bought equipment. So the total amount I owe the creditor is 4040. Some of that I bought was trading stock. The rest was equipment. So I bought equipment to the value of 2840. Now equipment is also an asset. I have bought more equipment. So I am going to debit equipment. Equipment is an asset and I have bought more. So it will be plus 2840. Who have I bought it from? I have bought it from a creditor. A creditor is a liability and I owe the creditor more money. So I am going to credit creditor's control. Now I owe the creditor more money, so it's going to be a plus under my liability. So now let's check. I have a debit and a credit, a debit and a credit. Plus 1,200 plus 0 equals 1,200. 2,840 plus 0 equals 2,840. Right, the next one we need to do is on the 10th. So if we look on the 10th here, it says we returned 250 Rands worth of goods and 150 Rands worth of equipment along with the debit note. So now we've returned some of what we've bought. Now firstly, we've returned some trading stock. So when we return trading stock, it's going to be a minus. So I've returned trading stock. Trading stock is an asset. I've returned it. So I'm going to credit trading stock. I've returned trading stock and I've returned 250 Rands worth of trading stock. It's an asset, so it's going to be minus. I now owe the creditor less money because I've returned stock. Creditor's control is a liability and I owe them less, so I'm going to debit creditor's control. And it's going to be a minus under my liabilities because I owe them less. I have also returned some equipment. Equipment is also an asset, so my equipment has decreased. Equipment being an asset and decreasing means I am going to credit the equipment. It's decreasing because I've returned the equipment. And I owe the creditor less money and liabilities decrease on the debit side. So therefore, I am going to say a minus under my liabilities. Now, what is the source document? Our source document, with returning to a creditor, we are going to send them a debit note. And we will send them the original and we will keep the duplicate debit note. Okay, On the 19th. On the 19th, here I'm just trying to find the correct one here. We're going to do the actual credit purchases one. Here we purchased stationery from Wildebeest on credit for 600 Rand less the 4% trade discount. So now remember, we worked this out earlier. We don't need to owe them the full 600. We are only going to owe them 96% of that, so it's 576. So now we are buying stationery, okay, and we're buying it on credit. So our source document is original invoice. Okay, but now we've bought stationery. Stationery is an owner's equity expense. Expenses decrease your owner's equity on the debit side, so we are going to debit stationery. Stationery is an owner's equity expense, and expenses decrease your owner's equity. But now, who do we owe for the stationery? We owe the creditor money for the stationery. We owe the creditor more. Creditors increase on the credit side. How much do we owe the creditor? We owe the creditor 576. So now let us check. First up here, negative 250 plus 0 equals negative 250. Negative 150 plus 0 equals negative 150. 576 minus 576 equals 0. There doesn't always need to be an asset. Okay, then on the 21st, I just need to find my, here we go, the 21st. Okay, I don't know why I picked the 21st. I don't know which transaction here I'm going to pick. I'm going to just pick the last one here. We received 1350 from Lion in part payment of our account. That means that we have received money, which means our bank account is going to decrease, and we've received it from a debtor. So on the 21st here, okay, I'm receiving money and my bank account is going to increase. My bank account is going to increase because I have received money. So it is plus, how much did I receive? I received 1350. And how come I received money? I received money from a debtor who's paying me back, and so the debtor owes me less money. He's paying me back, so it's minus 1350. There's nothing happening in those two columns. What is going to happen here is going to be a receipt. I would give the debtor the original, and I would have the duplicate receipt. And lastly, I'm going to look here at when we pay the creditor back. So issued a check to Elephant in part payment of our account. We are paying back the creditor. So what is happening? Firstly, we are paying money. So my bank account is going to decrease. Okay, my bank account is decreasing because I'm paying back the creditor. The creditor is a liability, and I now am paying him back, which means I owe him less money. So it is going to be a minus, and your creditors control decreases on the debit side. So we're going to say creditors control. All right. Now a creditor is a liability, and I owe him 2020 less. So negative 2020 plus 0 equals negative 2020. I've always had a debit and credit going through, and my source document is going to be a check, counter, because I've med a payment, FOIL.